Nick, I need you to go ahead and reshare your screen this morning as it was in practice mode. So he's loading that up. Welcome everybody to the call today. We are really excited to chat with you about sales, how to transition your sales environment. My name is Emily Sacano. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Chartech. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way here fairly quickly, but I wanted to make sure to explain to you guys why we were all brought together. So, Chartech is a training company for MSPs around the world. InBay offers NOC services and SOC services outsourced. Live VHD help desk services outsourced. So Dan of Live VHD approached us earlier this year and said, man, I think if we can all come together, we have some really solid content to share about how to help people both outsource and then sell better so that they will need more outsourcing services and help them grow. So our whole concept is that we will help you train how to do it and then provide you the tools that make it scalable for you to actually do these sales marketing operations efforts. You may have heard me a couple weeks ago with Francis. We talked over the full marketing side and marketing your way out of COVID. We're going to cover sales today, and the guys will talk about the operations portion at the end next week. Couple housekeeping items. Feel free to put questions in the Q&A. They will be answering those at the end of the webinar as we go. If we miss anybody on the questions, we will email you afterwards. And this webinar is being recorded. You will have access to this recording. So without further ado, guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves. I'll hand it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Emily. Yeah, guys, really excited here. So Nick Points, the Director of Sales with Chartech, as well as our own MSP, Arc Technology. Golly, I've been in this space now for 10 years. In technology sales for about 17. So, a little bit of experience here. But as we're going through here, I want you guys to engage. I want you guys to have questions. And a lot of times it won't come until after the webinar. So myself, my team here at Chartech, our goal is to make some of the challenges that you guys may well have experienced over the years, things that maybe I've been familiar with back in the day. So, like Nick, really excited to spend this session with you and look forward to seeing some of the questions that come out of it.
All right, good morning. My name is Anthony Woods. I'm the Vice President of Operations at Live Virtual Help Desk. I've been here since almost inception about 11 years ago and have a history with MSP and on-site technology before that. We've been working with Chartech for almost the entire duration of LVHD's history and working in partnership with them for our help desk services.
Yeah, thank you guys. So again, as Emily mentioned, man, we're excited. We're trying to bring, because let's face it, this year there's challenges, right? I mean, we're riddled with challenges. But that's still, there's not an excuse to not at least put our best foot forward to be successful, because my MSP, as well as many other technology providers, we're making money, we're retaining clients, we're adding new MRR. So we're kind of bringing some of these best practices here today. As Emily mentioned, we have the lead side of it. We did the marketing. So if you guys did not catch that session, go to the website and you can register for it and you'll get the recording, because it's important. You got to fill the funnel. And then obviously we're going to talk sales today, and then we're going to end with ops in the next week. So on the sales side, I've kind of boiled everything that we've been going through as an MSP this year so far. And I was really hard to do this, but I tried to boil it into just 3 fundamental steps that you can change right now very easily within your organization to start adding sales success here at the end of the quarter, right? We have 2 months left this year, as well as putting a great foundation and foothold for moving into 2021. So, there's many more things, but I want to boil it down to 3. And then again, as you guys have the questions, please throw those in. But let's get started here. Now, the first thing, number 1, it's all too often we say as a sales organization, whether it's owner-led, direct reps, I want to grow. I want to add recurring revenue. This year's going to be great, or this quarter's going to be our quarter, or this month's our month. So we put ideas and we have desires and we want to grow, we want to add revenue, but we don't put a plan in place or a process, and we just assume, hey, this is going to fall from the sky. We don't take time and put strategy behind our desires, but behind our objectives. So one of the first things you have to do if you've already done this and you're not seeing the results, it's time for you to reevaluate your plan and your process, right? Change it up moving into the new year. And the other side of it, if you haven't, this is the time to start. Guys, there's no better time. We have to start putting a plan and a process in place so we can measure success and drive towards the results we want. So as an example, let's just say our goal this year, okay, is an example, is I wanted to add 50,000 in new monthly recurring revenue. Okay, then you got to take a look at it. What is my average deal size? Now, our MSP, as well as majority of our members across the nation, it's about $2,000 a month. Okay, so let's do a simple math problem here. So Paul, you may need to bust out your calculator. You need to help everyone along here, but I'm going to try to keep this pretty simple because I'm a pretty simple guy. So if I know I want to add 50,000 in recurring revenue, and if I know my average deal size is $2,000 per month, just rough numbers here, I need to add 25 deals over the course of a year.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this, guys, I think from our perspective, is actually a lot of people's perceptions around what sales really is very much, about being this really, kind of spontaneous, creative person. But actually, Nick, I think the one thing that's going to be a key thread from this, in terms of what Nick's about, going to take you through, is actually having structure and having a process in place is actually really, really going to help you then ally those skills that you might have in terms of relationship building to it. So actually, fundamentally, actually understanding what you want to do, what you want to achieve, is one of the really key elements of being good at business development within your organization.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. So just sheer math here, guys, that would bring out 2 deals a month. 1 month we need to get a third deal, right? To make sure we're hitting our numbers. Now, to Paul's point here, here's the thing. You have to have plan and structure in place, because the whole just wing it mode is going to get you only so far in the business, and it's only going to get you so far as the owner who may be also doing the sales. When you go to hire that first dedicated rep, they cannot just wing it. They don't carry as much credibility as you as the owner. And every person that you as the owner bring onto your company, I hope you realize that they will not care about the business just as much as you do as the owner. So it's different. So just winging it, it's not the answer. Okay? Especially when you're looking to grow, scale, and add more people.
And it makes it really hard to create any measure of success as well. I mean, one of the beautiful things in a way about sales, which I guess is one of the real, it's a blessing and a curse for people like Nick and myself. Success is very easily quantifiable. If you've got a target and you've smashed it, great. You can go into to speak to your boss and feel really confident about it. Obviously, if you've got a target and you've not met it, then that makes, then clearly success is much, a lack of success is much easier to define. So when you come to hire people to work for your business, actually allowing, having a process allows you to really, really define what you want to achieve, but also get a really good feel for what success and what failure looks like.
No, absolutely. So now one thing I do want to mention here. So we put our goals in place. We get 2 deals per month. I'm going to show you we're going to work backwards. But you need to look at your business as it sits right now and say, hey, is this reasonable? Well, if I have it 2, my goal is this. So in order to hit this goal, I need to add this many clients. I need to start with 2 per month, maybe 3. And then you need to ask yourself, as a business, can I support this? Can I onboard this? And can I onboard it successfully? And that's a big part of the reason why at CharTech we've been engaging with Live Virtual Help Desk for so long. Because if you guys follow our sales process, you're going to be bringing on deals and scaling, bringing on revenue and clients faster than you can hire, train, and retain your own techs. And so for one of those things, that's exactly why this came about. So you guys need to be realistic with yourself. Don't put a plan in place and assume you're not going to achieve it. I want you to have the mindset, if I put these goals in place, I'm going to hit it every month. So if I'm adding 2 deals per month, then in 5 months from now, I need to have another level 1, level 2 engineer hired to maintain this growth rate. So if I need to have someone hired and trained in 5 months, I need to start looking in 2 months from now. So again, guys, don't just be surprised when you're like, oh my gosh, yes, it's great, I've sold all these deals. And then you have to tell your salespeople to stop selling. That's not what you want to do. So with that being said, again, we need to have a plan. We need to have a process to make sure our goals are realistic and reasonable. So we got to start at the bottom. If I'm looking at my funnel and I want to reverse it, and I know I want to close 4 deals a month, and or if I need to get as example 4 deals, then if I know my close rate's 50% from the presentation time, that means I need to be presenting a total of 8 new opportunities every month. And again, don't get hung up on the numbers, guys. These are just examples. You need to know your own numbers. Okay, my numbers aren't going to be relevant for you. So again, reversing it here. Now, if I know that I have to convert in my process discovery meetings, and I have an 80% conversion rate from the time I do a network assessment, I do a business discovery, and then I can convert 80% to presentations. Well, if I need to have 8 presentations, that means I need to have 10 discoveries. Okay, I hope you guys are following the logic here. Then it keeps going back. Right? So then if my close rate from that first appointment, from someone says, you know what, I'm interested, whatever, I have a first appointment, and I need to sell my discovery, I need to close on the discovery, and if I have a 50% conversion rate, well, in order to get 10 discoveries, I need to be conducting 20 appointments. And it keeps working back. Then I have a first interaction. Somebody raises their hand, they call in from a marketing message. They go to the website, they go to our chat, they have, they want to learn more about something, product, service, whatever we have going on. If I know, again, I'm closing 50% of those into appointments, then I need to be working 40, okay, first interactions to get my 20 appointments. And then at the very top, guys, we need to have campaigns running. We need to have curiosity-driven strategies to get those marketing messages for someone to say, hey, tell me more. I am interested. I clicked this link. I downloaded this. I went to this educational webinar. We did a lunch and learn, whatever that may be. And if I know I can convert 10% of all the suspects, right, the prospects that I have in my top of my funnel in my database, then at any given time, I need to be active. If it's 10%, I need to be actively working 400 businesses. Actively working, okay? 400 businesses to get my 4 deals per month. So I think
what this also shows is actually this allows you to kind of focus on the areas in which you need to improve your business. So it might be that you're creating fantastic marketing content and creating those 400 marketing messages over the course of a month. And actually you're getting down to 10 discovery meetings, but they're not getting any further from that. So again, the relationship that you have with someone like Nick can be crucial, really, because it might be that at some point in this kind of funnel, something's falling down. So it can allow you to really do some analysis of yourself or maybe your sales team to actually understand, well, why is it we're getting first appointments and a discovery session, but we're not getting invited back for the presentation? Or why is it that we're doing a lot of detailed work to create proposals and presentations, but we're not getting a close? And it might be that it's a training issue. It might be, it can, having this kind of process, and I guess we're probably maybe about, kind of quite dedicated to this, but I think having this kind of process can enable you to have great intelligence and great analysis of the way in which not only yourself, but also the sales guys that are working for you are doing their job. Do they need better training? Are we pricing our products properly? Are we pitching it in the right way to the people that we're, that we're working with? Do we need some training on closing? Do we need to qualify better at the first interaction stage? These are all the sorts of things that you can understand much more clearly once you have a good feel for this kind of funnel.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it. I mean, look at your funnels right now in ConnectWise or your PSA or your CRMs, and a funnel's supposed to look like a funnel, guys. That's why it's called a funnel. But a lot of times what I see, and I log into our members' ConnectWises, and I'm helping coach their salespeople. The sales funnels look more like a snowman. It's big on top, and it's little, then it drips down, then it's a big balloon here, and then at the bottom it's so it needs to look like a funnel. That's the concept here. But you're right. If we don't have this process in place, it's very hard to identify. If I have challenges, things aren't working, I'm a firm believer it's one of two things. It's a process problem, which could be training, or it's a people problem. But if I don't have the process and the training, then I can't identify if it's a people problem. So you have to have both, and it works all the way through. So if this is your funnel, this is your mindset, there's only one of two things. If you need to go to 8 deals per month, and you don't get any better, more efficient, you don't invest in training, then all things being equal, you need to add 800 people at the top of the funnel now. So in my mind, it's going to be a lot easier to get better at the lower stages of the funnel and closing and converting at higher rates than just keep dumping more money into the marketing portion. Now, don't get me wrong, I want both. If I put 800 people in the top of the funnel, I'm getting 2 salespeople. And I'm going to work on their closes because now I'm getting 8 deals per month, but I have 2 reps, right? And then It just becomes, again, a math problem and it's fun. So a process. And when you first look at this process, guys, there's nothing fancy about it. Okay, it's there. What makes this process very successful and unique, at least for my organization and all of my Shark Tech members who are adopting and following this process, is it is a process. It's documented. And everybody in the company who has a hand in the process knows when they need to get involved and what their overall objectives are. So as an example, up at the top for the marketing message, I have my sales engineer who spends time with my marketing team because what's the newest features and benefits? Why are people engaging with us? You know, from the account management team, the last people that we brought on, what problems did we solve for them? Why did they say yes? And we're constantly talking and what's new and what's going on and how can we solve business problems and what are those problems for our potential clients? And there's the marketing message all the way down through to engineers helping with the discovery, the solution engineering, the knock and service managers get involved to vet the solution before we go to present it to make sure that once we close the deal, we have our best chance of onboarding them smoothly, handing off the projects, getting them converted over to service. So then again, then the wheels continuing to motion. Then we go back to the sales and it's just this nice process over and over. But there's more people than just sales that have a hand in this process. But for today's purposes, selfishly, I'm going to just talk about the sales components. So this process, guys, from a sales standpoint, you need to understand is made up of closes and then processes in between the closes. So as an example, at the very top marketing message, once somebody says, yes, tell me more, I am interested, that's the first close that has to happen. That's marketing's win. You walk over, you high five your marketing team. That is the win, okay? After that point in time, marketing's job is done. Marketing is not selling. And there's a misconception here. Some people, they send out flyers and they do mailers and direct campaigns and they send email blasts and they expect that the person responds with a blank check. It does not happen, okay? Marketing's message, that's the first win. They are done. Now, if you don't have a marketing team and you're doing the marketing yourself, awesome. High five yourself and move on. But you put on that sales hat. Because once we have that first interaction, someone says, tell me more about XYZ services. Or tell me more about how you guys handle this, or have questions regarding this. Sales is engaged in this first interaction. The only thing that we are responsible or we wanting to close is an appointment. That's it. Simple, guys, right? I just totally took all that weight off of your shoulders and I removed it. Because so often what happens is you get spun up, you get all worked up and emotional, and you start thinking 25 steps ahead. Someone calls in to ask you a question, and in your minds, all of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, what are they going to need? What if they do this? What if they say this? What if they need this? And how many employees do they have? And oh my gosh, what's my time frame for onboarding? And for this, and how should I be pricing it? And all they asked you was a simple question about continuity planning.
And Nick's really right on the basis that. And Nick's completely right on the basis that actually I think going back to that sort of perception of what sales is, I've worked with MSPs in the past where someone's really passionate about tech and that's one of the reasons they got into it, and they've done a great job of generating some marketing activity, maybe through a referral or something like that. And then there's almost this perception or feel that they need to go into kind of this performance mode once they're in sales of actually being this great performer who's going to be all of a sudden almost be a different personality to the sort of character that that maybe helps them generate this great reputation as a tech specialist. And the reality is that, again, to come back to this, the idea of the process is that actually throughout this process, we're hoping that you're going to be, trusted advisors, come across as good guys who actually feel like you understand the problems that the people you're speaking with are faced with, and that throughout this process, as Nick said, you're looking to just close the individual kind of points that you're going to look to go through. But it's not really a question of becoming something you're not, because ultimately people buy from people who are credible and come across as having an understanding of the problems that they've got.
That's the key thing there, Paul, is understanding the problems. My best salespeople and the best salespeople I work with can't spell IT. Simple fact, guys. We don't have to be great at selling IT and technology. That's a myth in our industry. You need to be good at getting people to open up and share and identify their problems, and then we solve it. And the way we solve it is almost irrelevant. They want the results. They don't care about the vehicle that gets them there. So extremely important. But you're right, step by step by step. There's going to be a time when we worry about the solution in the presentation, but it's not up here at the top of the process, right? So the interaction, I want to close on an appointment, that's it. When you're there at that first appointment, you're going to have to qualify the opportunity. You're going to establish some credibility enough to where they say, sure, I'm opening up my business, my people, my processes to you, and in the form of a discovery. So that's it. Appointment, I'm closing on discovery. Now, when you're at the discovery, you got to perform it. We have the technical discovery I'm going over pointing to like my engineer, he's down in the hall here. But we have a technical discovery, then we have the business discovery. So I have a sales engineer and I have a sales professional. They have two totally separate roles. They don't even hardly see themselves, each other, when they're at a client site. Now, some of you may not have that. So if you're running both roles, that's fine. Just, you know which hat you're putting on when and where, okay, and what part of the process you're in. But once we get the discovery, obviously we perform it. Before we leave the discovery, before we leave the facility, or before we shut down our conferencing, we have another close to make. My guys have to secure a date and time to present the presentation day. Not, hey, I'll get back to you, or we'll figure it out. And no, they have a close to make, a date and time to present. Very simple. That's the only close they have to make at discovery, a date and time to present. Then we go back, we have to put together our agreements, our presentation, our pricing, we practice. We got a lot of stuff that has to happen after we've secured that presentation appointment. Then we get to the point presentation day shows up, we present. Then I'm looking for one of three things to happen. Obviously, I want to get the check and the agreement signed the day we present. I want to close it. Okay, I hate follow-ups. But nonetheless, things happen. Sometimes you can't close the day you present. So the next best thing is I do want to close on a date and time to follow up, right? To go over whatever they needed to think about. Maybe we had to re-engineer a solution. We missed a step. Things happen, okay, in the process. But I need to know if we're not signing today, why? And then I need to book a follow-up appointment date and time to make sure I've had everything addressed, but with the mindset of I'm picking up that check and getting the agreement signed. If I'm not able, or my team is unable to sell it the day we present and close it, and I cannot secure a follow-up date and time to present, maybe they're getting wishy-washy or whatever, I want to get a no. Give me a no, okay? People tell you I want to think about it and they string it along because they don't want to break your hearts. And they think that's just normal. That's an easy way to kind of let you down. And then what happens is you go back into follow-up mode. You're trained to follow up. And so you're leaving voicemail, email. And it's not a big deal if you're working one opportunity. But imagine if we're presenting 10 times a month in that last example, and we're only closing half of them. Well, that's 4 follow-ups. And then the next month, that's another 4 follow-ups. And then the month after that, that's another 4. Right now, I've got 12 opportunities I'm following up, still trying to build my pipeline. And then let's fast forward 8, 9 months. You're going to find that the majority of your sales time is spent following up on opportunities that are not going to buy. So get a no, find out why, improve, because we probably failed somewhere on our part, and get them back into the top of the marketing drip. Let marketing do their job. Right? Let them gain interest again. And maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 months, they raise their hand again and say, you know what? Now I'm interested in this. Okay, let's start the process again. But I want to free up my time for sales-related efforts. Paul, did you have something to add here? Sorry, you.
Yeah. No, I think from my perspective, I think there's 2 key sides to this. One, the process is crucial, but I think the reality is that throughout each of these stages, then first interaction, first appointment, discovery, and beyond, actually the key element to making sure, because I think one of the things that I really impress on my sales team and people that I work with is that actually your time is really valuable, but the only way you create value in your time is by great qualification, by asking really, really good open questions right throughout the process. So actually, if you're asking really, really good open questions and you have, and you're using, you don't have what, happy ears is an expression, I've used in the past. If you're actually asking good open questions and getting a real feel for, what someone's need is, when, what the requirement is, and qualifying well throughout the process, then actually, hopefully, by the time you get to the presentation stage or the stage where you're asking for the order or asking for the check, it shouldn't then be a shock, of any great, unless something, dramatic and unforeseen has happened. happened, then actually you should be in a position where you should have a good idea as to whether somebody is going to be ready to go. And I think it's really important on a couple of levels. One, to allow you to forecast properly as to whether or not you think some business is going to come in, but also where to apportion your time. If somebody's really, really woolly with the information they give you, they say things like, well, I'm really looking to move forward quickly. That to me is not as helpful as someone that says, I'm looking to do something by Christmas. I'm looking to do something by this date. Or somebody that's woolly around the process for signing off, or someone that's woolly around the actual requirement itself. So these early stages are important to you because they provide an opportunity to ask some really open questions and actually drill down on the requirement. And you're never going to be more popular to a prospect than when they want something from you, which is potentially a proposal or a presentation or an outline of what you can do for them. So that is a great time. That is a great time to ask those. Those first initial stages are great times to get the answers to the questions that you really want. Tell me, when do you want to do this? Who's going to sign it off? And do you actually have the money to do this right now? Those are all the sorts of things that you can ask at that time to hopefully free up that conversation at the end when you come to ask for the check.
Yep. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here in these prerequisites, because you're absolutely right, Paul. I want to dive into that. And then for all the Chartec members who's familiar with our process, the questioning is important. We use our diagnostic questions in the appointment, going into the discovery, and then we ask more of the open questions to get people to expand. We call them global questions, Paul, and it gets people to open up and share. So you're absolutely right. Just know where you are in the process and what our objective is. All right. Appointments for the discovery. I want them to open up. We put it together. We work our way through getting those other prerequisites, which hold that just for a couple minutes, and we'll jump into there. But I do want to pivot into number 2, which is the most favorite thing for everybody, is prospecting. So here's the problem. Like I say, at the end of the process, if you're following up with people who aren't going to buy, guess what you're not doing? You are not prospecting. You are not filling the funnel. You're not helping augment marketing by following up on different opportunities, leads. Go to networking groups. You're going in Sales Navigator and LinkedIn. You're building your own lists. Again, work alongside of marketing. Get to a point where the marketing leads that come through are just gravy for you. So this is the one thing that I see the biggest results in for the salespeople that are successful is they have a very high level of discipline when it comes to prospecting. And I'm sure, Paul, you've heard this, but everyone on here heard this, right? Sales it's peaks and valleys. 1 month is great. The next month, it's not. And typically what happens is this. We spend our first month working leads. We do prospect. We don't have anything in the funnel, and we have the time. So we prospect. We start working, closing deals. Then the next month, we're finishing closing up the deals, and then we're starting to onboard and do some service delivery. And then that following month, we're buttoning up, making sure everyone's firmly getting onboarded. But those past 2 months, we didn't prospect. We had other things that were coming up. So then going into that 4th month, your funnel's dry again. And you're going to jump back into prospecting mode, and you're going to end that month with little to no sales. And then the cycle continues. So my objective in working with my team is I want to have only peaks. I don't want valleys. Valleys are crap. Okay, it sucks. And that's really hard to forecast when you're like, oh, well, you know what? I can go by my last trends. And so I'm going to do great 3 months. I'm going to really shit the bed for 3 months. And, maybe I get a bluebird in between there. So here's some steps that I have my team and the sales professionals that we manage for other MSPs. We've got to put time aside for prospecting, because here's the reality of it. My personal opinion is prospecting is really 90% discipline. It is 10% skill. The problem with most salespeople is they don't get up to the plate. They make 1 or 2 calls and like, well, I didn't get a hit, man. I really suck at this. It's not fun. And I'm going to go try to do something else. Anything else that comes up, you want to do rather than prospect. So it's 90% discipline, just making sure you're doing it, and this 10% skill, working on the ongoing training, your legitimate reasons, your voicemail techniques, role playing a little bit. That's 10%. 90% is just showing up and being consistent with it. So one of the things that I have my teams do is they set a prospecting appointment. It's recurring. I do it for Monday through Thursday, and it's 2 hours. So 8 to 10, 7 to 9, depending if you're working different time zones. But I have my team, I challenge them to do it first thing in the morning. I want them to do what they like least first. I want to get it out of the way. And then the rest of the day, they can focus on other initiatives. Now, if it's their block, most of my reps are 8 to 10. It's not, I show up at the office at 7:55. I go get my coffee. I check my email. I'm doing a lot of other things. And then it's like 8:20, 8:35. Maybe I pick up the phone. I'm looking in ConnectWise. I'm trying to figure out what activities I have in my list. And the next thing you know, it's almost 10 o'clock and you haven't made any calls because you're looking to put anything out. Here's how I feel, guys. If you treat your prospecting appointment like you have an actual presentation, meaning if I have an appointment to go present to a business right now, would you postpone or would you cancel that appointment so you can check email or so you can deal with client issues? No, absolutely you wouldn't. So you treat your prospecting appointment like that. You block out 2 hours, and when the bell rings at 8, I'm on the phone. And I'm trying to get through 15, 20 calls an hour, right? Have your objective in place. What do you want to do? So again, set your goals. And then you measure towards it. Some days you're going to have more calls because you're leaving more voicemails, and other days you're not because you have conversations, which ultimately I'm wanting to get people engaged, right? So I'm okay having less calls and more conversations. That's actually better. But we have to be disciplined. You treat that prospecting appointment like you have a presentation to the board of directors for the biggest opportunity you have ever worked on. You would not cancel it or move it or postpone it for silly stuff. I have a lot of my team, I don't even have them log into their email during the prospecting time. They work right from ConnectWise. They got their activity list. They're prepared the night before. You end each day preparing for success tomorrow. So they have their hit. They know there are 40 companies that they're going to call. And then they know what cadence they're in, which brings me to my last part is I want consistency in the days we're doing it, but I also want consistency in the amount of outreaches and over a period of time. Rule of thumb, you can do like the 3x48. I want to do 3 calls each 48 hours apart. So it's doing one of 2 things. So if I call Monday, I'm calling again Wednesday, and then I'm calling again Friday. First message, right? Leave a voicemail. It's why we're calling, the legitimate reason. The second call is a follow-up to the first call, right? Reiterating that legitimate reason why we reached out. That third call on that Friday is really kind of with the objective of, I don't want to be a pest. You had interest in this. Obviously, we haven't connected. Either A, you're really just busy and you still want to connect with me, so here's a way to do it, or you don't want to and it's okay, tell me to pound sand. Give them the ability to reject you so then we can move on.
And Nick's really right. I think there's a few reasons why you can never really, prospecting has to be not an event, but actually part of an ongoing process. It doesn't feel like something that you almost build yourself up to, do it once a month or something like that, and then move on. Having it as a regular part of your day-to-day activity is really, really crucial for a few reasons. One, you can never have a big enough pipeline. The more you do it, the better you'll get. You'll start to learn lessons. We've all had great calls where you get off the phone and you think that just went brilliantly. Then you've had some that you think, I wish I could have that again. I wish I could have that call again. But for me, the real reason, actually, when I come to build a pipeline, when I've been working in these sorts of roles and I've been building a pipeline, somebody said to me once, you should sell like a millionaire. And there's nobody more desperate in a sales scenario, nobody probably who then it doesn't exhibit the right behaviors than somebody who's got no pipeline. Because you then develop happy ears, you then start to really not pass on. Like Nick said earlier, you don't move on from those opportunities which really aren't that great, but you're kind of just clinging on to, because actually, do you know what, if you close it, your pipeline's looking terrible. So actually by having more and more, by prospecting and having that great discipline, the will and the skill, you're going to create a great pipeline, which is going to then allow you to be a bit more selective with the people that you devote your time to, and probably not chase lost causes. So it is really, really important to wherever possible, continue to fill the top of that funnel.
Then to add on to that, Paul, one of the things when you get desperate as a salesperson, because then you fixate on one deal because you're like, I've got to close something. Then what happens? You discount your pricing, or you compromise on your solution. You're like, I can remove this. I can kind of take that. And then next thing you know, it's going to bite you in the butt 3 months down the road when you don't have a standard solution, or you reduce margins. And you don't want to sell from an area of desperation. I 100% am in line with Paul. Like, yeah. And if you
lose credibility,
you don't have to.
You lose credibility. Yeah. So, and you guys are selling, in a lot of instances, you're selling great products, you're selling great services, and actually, more often than not, we would love, we would much rather organizations that are selling what you guys are selling are actually really highlighting the value of your proposition and actually highlighting the business benefit that you're going to be able to bring to an organization. If you're in that real desperate state and you think, well, actually, I really need to get this deal in before the end of the month, you're not really focusing on that in a lot of instances anymore. You're thinking you're all of a sudden a bit on the back foot, and so actually all as a result potentially of not having that kind of done that work back in the day to create that better pipeline.
So guys, it's walk away from this, just discipline, set your appointment, stick to it. Now, and some of you are like, well, what happens if I get someone on the phone and they only say they can only meet me at 8:30 on Tuesday? If that is really the case, then you still need to treat it like you have another appointment. You let them know, say, I have something else booked for this time. However, let's see if I can move some things around and I will get back to you. And then you can go to an alternative close. Should that not align, how does Wednesday work for you at the same time? But you got to treat it like it's an appointment and don't just move it at will. Okay. Everyone in your team knows, hey, from 8 to 10, you don't book anything for me. I am not here. Don't come to my office. Don't knock on my door. Don't call my phone. Don't send me a Teams message. Nothing. I'm not logged into anything because I am here to prospect. And then the multiple attempts, guys. Don't just leave. Don't call somebody one day today and then follow up in 2 weeks later, because I promise you they will not remember you. And if what I'm finding success with is, again, multiple hits over a week. It's enough frequency to where they're going to start remembering your brand. 2, it's frequent enough where they're thinking like, man, if I don't answer the phone or call this person back, they may never stop calling me. And the third part is we're being consistent. We're not being salesy, but we're being confident. We're being consistent. And at the end of it, we give them give them an opportunity to reject you. So again, then you can put them back into the drip and you can focus on your next 30 or 40 companies, right, in your cadence. But you've got to set an appointment to do it, or else you won't, because I promise you will find something else to do. That's just like back in college when I had an exam or a final or something, and it was just, I know about it weeks ahead of time, but it's always, when I have to go to study, or it was like I could find anything else to do. I would clean my room. I would take the trash out. I would clean the living room. I would do whatever. My roommates are like, oh man, Points is about to go into finals, man. This place is going to look great, because I would do absolutely anything I could do to not study. And then it was the night of, midnight, I'm still studying for the next morning. But that's what happens with prospecting, okay? You don't like to do it, so you move it out. You do anything else you possibly can do to stop it. If you're a sales professional, dedicate the time, put it in there. Now, number 3. This year alone has taught us we have to be flexible and we have to adapt. I mean, just starting in January, February, our world got rocked. Okay, we didn't know if by April we were going to still be in business, have clients, if the zombie apocalypse was coming, all this craziness. So, but now that guys, we're 11 months into this year. And if we're not getting the results, if the way that we were doing things before are no longer working, you can either continue to hope and pray that it's going to start working while you're starting to hemorrhage money or go out of business or lose clients, not add new revenue, okay? Or you need to adapt. So here's some of the biggest challenges I am seeing within our process, and why my members or other IT companies are coming back to me and saying, man, I am struggling. So let's think about some of the problems right now. Here's the first one I get. I'm looking at my process. They go, oh my gosh, people don't want me in their office. I can't get first appointments. I am dead in the water. They just want me to send over a proposal. They don't want to meet with me. They're not in the office. They're all working from home, which then it goes down to, if we get the discovery, hey, I can't perform it. They don't let me in the office. I can't talk to their people. Only some people in the office. Most of the people are at home. And then the same thing carries on. You know, if I don't have these two things done, it's very hard for me to perform the presentation. No one wants to sit down around a conference room table with me anymore. So you know what happens? And I'm not making this up. I've had people that they're starting to go through, man, I've been challenged and I can't get in front of them. I can't get the appointment, or they get the appointment, but I can't perform the discovery because they don't want me talking to all their people. And the next thing you know, they do their entire sales presentation in an email. Like, are you kidding me right now? This is our recipe for success. Think of this sales process like your favorite grandma's cookies recipe. Like the one that takes you back to your childhood and you just smell it, it's just amazing. You wouldn't change grandma's recipe. You wouldn't substitute salt and sugar because they're both white. You wouldn't skip steps and still expect the same results. So you treat this process like a recipe. If we have to make a change, we can make a change, but we don't skip steps just because we can't meet in person. Guys, that's silly. This is ridiculous, actually, because we are technology companies. There's ways around this. So, talking about appointments and discoveries, this is going to blow your minds, okay? I want you to use technology. Just like we're doing today. I see Paul very clearly right in front of me. This is real time. You have to use technology. Skipping the step is not an option. If you skip the step, you won't get the same results. You won't have predictability. So what I do is when I'm in the discovery phase or even the appointment, conduct your appointments over video conference. Teams. I'll use Zoom, WebEx. Most time I use Teams. But I'm still having a video conference. I want to see them. I want to look at their body language. I want to have a conversation with somebody. I'm not here to do it over email. What I find that works well for us and our MSP is when I book a discovery, if I can't set the appointments with the individuals, because maybe there's just too many, and then appointments and they overlap and we're behind and whatnot, I'll set up a block of time. I may block off 4 hours. Maybe it's 2 hours. Maybe it's 3 hours, depending on the size of the company. But I block it off. I have an open meeting invite. And then I'll be having a conversation with Paul as the CFO. And then when I'm finished with Paul, depending on how that conversation, either I have my list of who I still need to talk to, or maybe somebody came up in that discovery conversation that was relevant. And I'd say, hey, Paul, thank you so much for your time. Hey, if I need anything else or another question comes up, do you mind if I chat with you again, give you a call? And then Paul's gonna be like, yeah, sure, absolutely. And then I would say, hey, Paul, when you're walking back, or hey, can you go nudge, or can you grab Cynthia, please, and have her jump on? Paul would be like, sure. And I'm just feeding people in, but I'll put up a block. It works.
From my perspective, I think the biggest part of this is actually what Nick's talking about is some solutions and some options, but actually it's a mentality as much as anything else. So actually, I've worked with sales guys, and here in the UK it rains a lot. But I had a friend once who said, "I'm not going to go out today. It's raining." No one ever buys when it rains, and so the one thing is, we've probably all worked with sales guys who are full of excuses. Can always find a good reason as to why somebody might not buy today and why it might be worth just chilling out today and doing something a little bit different. So what Nick's really talking about is an attitude, and an approach to actually say, well, do you know what? I'm not, we are in a difficult time, but actually let's try and take some positives from this. At the moment, we found in COVID that actually often there are some businesses we call where they have reception staff that now are not at work at the moment. So guess what? The guy that runs the business, picks up the phone. So the CEO answers the phone, or the tech, a director of the business. So there are always in these sort of scenarios, if you're able to adapt, some positives that can be found from it. So that's really what this, to the heart, this strikes to the heart of that sort of mentality and that attitude.
Guys, yeah, we've got to adapt. We can't just put our heads in the sand and be like, all right, well, next month's going to be better. Well, the election's happening, and well, heck, right now with all the ballots, it may be weeks before we know. But hey, at least this whole craziness is probably just still going to get started. So don't bank on in a month from now things going back to whatever you want to think the normal is. We've got to adapt and be ready. The same token with the discovery, guys. Even if it's virtual, don't just meet with the executives. You need to speak to everybody that you possibly can. If someone in every department, team leads, managers, frontline staff, because you have to get them to open up and share and expand on business issues. If you do not identify business issues, you will not close this deal, or you will not close this deal at the margins you need, or you will compromise your solution. You will remove stuff. Okay, I promise you that's how it works. So,
and also we're in tech, guys. So we're in the tech world. So actually, people look to us to be the leaders in this sort of scenario. So they look to us to be setting the agenda as to what we can do during tricky times like this. So actually, if we're showing ourselves to be the proactive kind of organisation that actually is can do, not using this as an example, as an opportunity to kind of feel sorry for ourselves and sort of moan about circumstances and how they've been really, really difficult for us. Actually, we can go and set the example to the people that we work with.
Oh my God, Paul brings up a great point. Can you imagine, guys? And obviously nobody on this webinar here today has ever done this. But can you imagine if you go in front of a prospective client who's engaging with you because you're a technology company? Because again, if they knew what they needed or they knew just how to solve it, they wouldn't call you. They wouldn't engage with you. I promise you that. They would do it themselves. So they're talking to you, and then well, you know what? Normally we do the process like this, but COVID, different times, go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and email you the proposal. Why don't you give me a call and we'll talk about it? And I know I was only half-assed with my approach on there, and I'm just assuming that everything you told me was correct, and you only have, 25 computers, so that's what everything's based off of. But again, typically we need to get there in person, and we need it so we can talk to somebody, so we can see the people. I think you're crazy. I'd be like, really? Talking to a technology company? They can't figure out how to present to me virtually? Craziness, guys. So that brings up a good point. It's mindset. Like, I wouldn't buy from you. You kidding me? Going to see you as an expert, you can't figure out how to work a webcam? No. So the reason we have a process, and Paul, we kind of alluded to this, so I'm gonna push through, but this is extremely important. Before my team, any of my salespeople that I manage, before they can go present, they have to have these 5 prerequisites identified. And the only way we are going to achieve all of these is by following the process and not skipping steps. Number 1, do we have a recognized need? It sounds silly, okay? You'd be surprised. A need is a reason to buy. And sometimes it's not just one need. You need multiple needs for this opportunity to move forward. And for those of you who are like, oh yeah, duh, I always have a need. I always have a need identified before I present. Have you ever had somebody say, you know what? I appreciate your time. This all looks good, but this piece here, can you go ahead and remove that? What they're saying is they don't have a need for that, but yet you were trying to feature sell them on how great it was going to be, and you didn't even understand if there's a problem or not. So again, do we have a recognized need? Number 2, I know we're running out of time here, Paul, so I'm going to kind of push through here, but feel free to interject.
That's fine.
If we have the identified need, do we have a viable solution to solve it? So many salespeople, we get stuck on features and benefits, and we think our solutions are so awesome. And I agree, guys, don't get me wrong. I agree our solutions are absolutely amazing, and they do some wonderful things. I think it is extremely cool that with Paul and with Anthony, their organizations, that your business can now offer 24/7 support, 365, and no matter what time it is, if it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, if your clients have an issue, they can pick up the phone and they can talk to somebody live and they can get their issues resolved. I think that is phenomenal, and I think that's amazing. However, and every one of my clients, by the way, with ARC has 24/7 support, non-negotiable. But here's the deal. I agree. I think it's a great solution. But if I know that Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I will not talk about how great our 24/7 support is. It's not a viable solution for them. Instead, I rephrase it to identify to solve the needs, right, that I have. And I let them know the support is during their business hours. Then they say something like, well, what happens if I stay late? Or do I have to come in on a weekend? And I let them know, hey, we got you covered. And they're like, oh, gosh, thanks. Versus, again, I talk about 24/7 support, and they come back with the objection. No, man, I'm only 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Can you go ahead and remove that part? And then what does it lower my rate to? That's what happens if you're lucky. Otherwise, what they do is they say, wow, this all looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and think about it. And in their minds, they're like, wow, this is kind of like a Cadillac offering. I'm just a Chevy company. This is maybe geared for more larger companies, not mine. So they're going to go try to find it less elsewhere. And you missed an opportunity. So do we have a viable solution to solve the needs we've identified? The number three, does the value justify the cost? And take it a step further, does the perceived value of the problems and business issues and concerns that we are solving, does it outweigh the investment I'm going to ask them to make? If the answer is no, then A, we failed in discovery, and we did a really crap job. We only talked to 2 people of a 30-employee organization, so we don't have enough needs on the table, okay? Or if we talked to everybody, we did a bang-up discovery, and we've got all the needs we could possibly identify, maybe they weren't that screwed up, then you need to go back and look at your solution. Do I have the right solution? Because this should not be a surprise. Guys, we are not at the Academy Awards. You are not the host, right? You're not up there going to go ahead and tell you who the winner of the best picture was, and you act surprised, like there's an envelope here, and like, oh, damn, man, I didn't think the number was that high. You know your pricing before they do. So ask yourself the question. It's not a surprise.
I think when it comes to the value of the cost as well, one of the things that we always like to focus on is the cost to a business of doing nothing. So actually, you know, the reality of a business getting in touch with you in the first place is because they have a need and they're looking for a solution. But what's the financial consequence to them of their current situation, and what is the consequence of them doing nothing? And actually, that for us is a fantastic way of getting a real feel for actually what the value of your proposition is, because actually we're asking them to part with money on a direct level potentially, but actually what is the cost to them of not parting with that money? Is there lots of indirect costs to that? You know, Nick talked about the 24/7 solution. Well, are they now going to have to pay guys to work at, to keep their phone on overnight, to keep their phone on the pillow? Are they going to have to pay, their best engineers to stay around, to stick around, over the, is a business going to have to pay for its, for its staff to work over the weekend? So I think from that perspective, these are all things that are, kind of relevant, in terms of the questions that you can ask.
So our biggest competitor, just so everybody is aware, is status quo. They do nothing. That is your number one competitor. So again, this leads into number 4. How do we get them to make a decision so they just don't say, oh my gosh, I'm just going to keep hemorrhaging money. I'm going to keep paying people overtime. I'm going to keep hiring new people, right? And I'm going to continue losing clients. Status quo, guys, we have to kill that alternative. But number 4 is urgency. What urgent factors did we identify to get this to move forward the day we present or very shortly after, versus think about it for weeks and months to the point where we have to do another discovery anyway. And the way that you're either going to do it, they have to have an active need, okay, which it happens, but don't count on it. That's when a network is down. I just got hacked. I'm ransomware, crypto. Yes, it happens, but don't bank on it. The way that I increase urgency is by getting more needs on the table, more reasons to buy. The more reasons to buy that you can identify, the more business problems you will solve, the higher the sense of urgency is going to go, to get someone to say, yeah, obviously I'd be silly to keep doing things the way I'm doing now. And you know what? The solution you've engineered and the pricing you've provided definitely outweighs the alternative. Let's go ahead and do this. So leading into number 5, to make sure this is going to happen, we got to ask ourselves, who are we presenting to? And if we are presenting to anyone other than the authority to buy, you are practicing. Just understand this. And the authority to buy is no longer just the CEO, guys, or a C-level executive. Yeah, sure, they write the check, they sign the agreement, I get it. But I want to close the day I present, or put my best foot forward to close. So if I know that the biggest objection you guys probably get right now is I want to think about it, and the owner or executive you present to says, wow, this looks good, but you know what, I want to go ahead and meet with my team. I want to discuss with the leaders of my organization, make sure everyone's on the same page before we move forward. If that happens, and they're not around the boardroom table with you, or they're not on your video conference with you, you can't close. If you try, you're going to be slimy. Come on, Mr. CEO, really? You need to talk to your team about it? I mean, you want to do this. I mean, they're just going to follow with whatever you say. So why don't we just go ahead and sign this today? You can talk to your team later. That's sleazy, guys. That's slimy. So if we know that, I want the authority to buy is in my discovery, I'm asking, how is this decision going to be made? Is there a board of directors? Is there silent partners? Is it the executive team to get together on the 3rd Wednesday of every month to discuss business type relationships like this? Do they meet with whatever? I don't care if they meet with their spouse. I want to find out how this decision is made so I can have all of those people ready to go at the presentation day. So when they say, well, I want to speak with my team and think about it, I give an opportunity where I'm gonna just step out of the room if we're in person, let them talk, or you guys just want me to go ahead and jump off the conference here for a second, give you 10, 15 minutes to speak freely. I'm giving them a hard close, or then I'm closing on a follow-up, okay? And again, that's a whole nother session. You guys can jump into our training platform and work through that. But that's a high level what it looks like. So those are the 5 prerequisites. If all of you were to think about the last deal you lost right now, I want you to ask yourself which one of those prerequisites or which ones were you missing? I promise you, you're missing one or more of them. So keep that in mind, and that's why we have a process. Now, when it comes to presenting, you guys we have to adapt the way and change the way that traditional sales has taught us to present. Okay, and I'm going to go pretty quick on this, but we have to adapt and evolve the way that we are presenting to prospective clients. Most salespeople present in what we call SPA. Okay. And it's how they're trained to do. I'm going to sell them on features and benefits. I'm going to talk about my solution first, how great we are. And then what happens is the client or prospective client actually maybe bring up the problem, right? Or some kind of issue. And then what happens at the very end? They're going to go ahead and bring up an objection in the form of an alternative. And it kills what we have going on. Here's an example of SPA selling. Imagine we're doing dark web, right? Security's hot right now. Dark web monitoring, all these cool things, right? It's great. I think it's amazing. There's a lot of great features and benefits for businesses. But imagine, here's what typically how those conversations go. Maybe we're prospecting, maybe you get someone on the phone and you start trying to throw up on them, like most salespeople do, instead of focusing on your next close, right? What we have to accomplish. But you're just like, you know what, hey, Mr. Prospect, guess what, man? We do this dark web monitoring. It's amazing. We'll do it for your entire company. We're going to alert you anytime there's possible credential exposures or anything on the dark web that's available for sale. And then we're going to do some cool educational testing and things for your employees. It's awesome. And then here's what happens. They go, you know what? I think I'm okay. I don't think we need that. And then they bring up their own alternative. You already have a firewall and antivirus in place. And then at the end of it, you have the mismatch. Well, that's only part of what you need in the network. And they're like, nah, that's pretty good. Well, no, you're an idiot then. And now we're trying to argue. Instead, we have to flip the script. We have to align with buyer behaviors. People want to buy based on the problems they have or a desire. Okay, there's only 2 motivating factors for people, right? It's positive reward or negative aversion. Okay, that's it. People buy an emotion, they back it with facts. So we have to flip the script. Stop presenting in SPA. Bond with your clients and your prospective clients on their problems. Be client-centric for once. Care about them. Focus on them. When you focus on them, you kind of flip the script. So imagine now if I'm still trying to sell dark web monitoring, and I run an assessment before I even talk to them. Because you can run scans for, you sign up with your provider and you run complimentary scans. You look at businesses and then you can target them. There's your next prospecting list. So imagine now the conversation would go something like, you know what, hey, Mr. Prospect, I'm glad you answered the phone. You may be interested to know, we just did a search of your company and we found right now on the dark web, you have 200 exposed credentials. Now, depending on the employee's role within the organization, these credentials would leave access to anything and everything in your organization. Payroll, medical records, social security numbers, client list, banking, routing, anything and everything on your network, they have the ability to view, edit, or even worse, delete. Now look, then I'm gonna kill the alternative. Now look, it's no longer just about firewalls and antivirus. I mean, they're staple components of a network, but that's not what it's all about now because cyber criminals are becoming smarter. They are no longer trying to break through the front door of your business through a firewall. They're targeting the biggest vulnerabilities that we have in an organization, and they're just becoming invited in because they're targeting our employees. bypassing the firewalls and antiviruses altogether. So moving forward, what we will be doing is we're going to be actively monitoring the dark web for you, for your entire organization. Anytime there's a credential exposed or some type of breach from a third-party site or vendor you may be working with, not only are you notified, but we've already went in and we reset and changed the passwords for those people. And then to make sure that we're continuing to put the best foot forward, we will be providing ongoing education and training for your staff, teaching them about the newest vulnerabilities, how to spot fake phishing emails, how to put their best foot forward to not only protect themselves, but protect your business. A little different, guys, right? It's the same solution, it's the same process, but I've flipped the script and I've totally bonded with them on the problems I brought up. I killed the alternative before they brought it up, so now I'm no longer mismatching, and then I tell them how I'm going to solve it. And I do this over and over and over again in my sales presentation. Go ahead, Paul.
And the reality is, guys, in terms of what Nick's doing, it's actually not making it about him or what he wants to achieve. It's actually making it about what, we're making it about the end user, the customer. I've sat next to sales guys who have said things like, look, I need you to get this deal in because I need to hit my number, or I need to get this deal in because actually I'm going off on holiday next week. And that's a really extreme example of it. But actually, by making it about yourself rather than the customer, it's very transparent. So yeah, by the time you get to the solution, they're probably really delighted to hear about it. You talked about the problem, you talked about the pain that can cause, and the alternative that doesn't really fit. So the solution is all of a sudden probably a welcome relief, rather than you flying into a presentation with just information about how great you are.
Yeah, self-serving or client-centric. You guys decide which one you want to be. I personally choose the client-centric. It aligns very well for what we solve. Now, I know, guys, I know we're running out of time here. When you're doing a presentation, you have to keep it engaging and interactive, especially in a virtual environment. Everybody is Zoomed or Teams or WebEx to death, okay? So when you're presenting, you cannot be reading. And I'm saying this for a reason. I've been on webinars, I've been on presentations where it sounds like the friggin' professor from Ferris Bueller is just reading a presentation verbatim. I can make it all of 8 seconds before I just shut it off. And it may have been the best information ever. And I guarantee you I'm not going to get it because I cannot make it through somebody just reading to me. It's not engaging, it's monotone. They don't keep you guessing. Use video. So when we do in-person meetings here, our presentations, I do a facility tour. I engage, I walk our prospects through our facility and I engage them to the team leads. And all of our team leads have their spiel down about who they are, how long they've been with the company, and how this prospective client will be engaging with them or their team moving forward. And then they sit down and we do the whole thing. So by the time I go to present, this prospect already feels like they're a part of my team. The challenge is, if they don't come to my facility, I can't do that. So do I put my head in the sand and just say, okay, well, I can't do that part? Or you get out of the box, you adapt. What we've done is I've recorded our entire walkthrough the same way, and then before I start my sales presentation, I play the video. And then I go right into my presentation. So you can use video, do video feeds like this. You want it to be live, and I want to keep them guessing. I don't want to just do PowerPoint slide after slide after slide. So I'll throw in like animations. Like I do a network discovery diagram at every one of my presentations, the before and the after. It's easy when I'm in person because I do my plotter paper and we're all writing on it and engaging. If I can't do that virtually, I don't skip the step and not go over the visual aid, but I just make it interactive. And I'm talking and I'm addressing the challenges and I'm talking about each component of their network. What's going on, how it's affecting them. And again, they're watching it. They're like, what's going on? Things are moving. And you have to control the flow. Here's the challenge. When I go through the proposal, I do the screen share. I scroll through it, I allow them to read it. I don't send them an email. Because if you're still trying to present and you send them an attachment or a document, they will have it up on another monitor and they are reading it. They're looking at it, they're flipping through their other stuff, their email, and they are not listening to what you're saying. So you have to put your best foot forward. You control the presentation as much as you can. So again, I'll do the screen share. I bring up the agreement. I say, here's what we're and I let them know. I scroll through it.
I think from my perspective as well, guys, when we do things like this, I think actually, if you can make it as interactive as possible, it's going to do two things. One, it's going to enable that level of engagement with the prospect, but also it's going to remove that sort of feeling that it's really like performance art, and it's actually again all about you putting on this great show. It's actually you going through this kind of consultative process where actually we're trying to get to a mutually beneficial kind of thing at the end, which is going to be great for all of us. So and that's what so the control of the flow and the use of those sort of engaging presentations is really key to that.
So imagine, and this is for everybody, sales in our industry is very commoditized. There is nobody on this call today that does not have access to the same tools and technology solutions that my MSP does. So unless I want to compete on price with everyone else, which I don't, I'm 50-60% higher than my competitors, okay? We need to start standing out. So imagine if I'm going against 3 other companies and the other company, all they do is they're on a speakerphone and they're talking and reading a proposal that they already sent the person 2 days ago. Versus how we present, visually enticing about them, using our engagement techniques. It's a differentiation, guys. The process is what's going to differentiate you. It's not going to be on the solutions you provide for the most part. You may have some proprietary stuff you offer. I'm just saying for 98% of us on here, we have access to the same tools or solutions. So with that being said, guys, as we're wrapping up here today, I want you to understand what your choices are. I will never tell you to change anything if it's not broken. So if it's not broke, I am a firm believer you don't need to fix it. If you're getting the amount of leads at the top of your funnel and you're closing all the deals that you need to be closing at the margins you need to keep your business growing or sustained, my hat's off to you. Don't change a thing. But if you're not, and you want to grow, you're not getting the results you want, then you need to do something other than put your head in the sand. You got to try new things. We got to get uncomfortable. Okay, we've got to grow as individuals. We got to grow in our processes. We have to push ourselves outside of our traditional comfort box that we've been doing for the last whatever period of time. Things are changing. So you can self-study. You can go jump online. You can watch resources. You can engage in webinars just like this. There's a lot of content out there. But this is going to be the longest time for you to get results. You can hire general coaches. Talking about sales, there's tons of them out there that will teach you sales 101 best practices. Because in order for those companies to be successful, they have to have a broad brush approach. And they're going to be talking to about the same techniques to timeshare people, car salesmen, to insurance salesmen, whatever it may be. And it's sales 101 type best practices, which then you as an MSP have to take and evolve and adopt to make it fit our business model. And then now you're kind of back into self-studying, but you paid a general coach. So it's really kind of even worse, right? Or you continue to engage with Chartech and other like-minded businesses like InBay and Live Virtual Help Desk to help solve a lot of these problems with you, because we are in this industry and this is all we do. So again, we talked about it, guys. If you're struggling now on the operations side, service delivery, scaling, and you don't have the time or bandwidth to continue to hire, train, and manage and recruit technicians for yourself, we're going to be talking about some of the best practices you can take to streamline this, to maximize any effort and any money you're spending on marketing and in sales to make sure we're not losing people at the back end. And then, guys, Chartech Academy, we have one more left this year, December 2nd through the 4th. This is virtual. The registration link is right there. You can register for yourself and your entire company. We will be covering everything from marketing, breaking down actual strategy, campaigns, things that we are using right now as an MSP to gain first appointments, to get discoveries, and to close business. We're going to be breaking down our entire sales process. We covered 3 steps here. Over the Academy, we'll be covering 3 days worth of sales techniques and presentations and discoveries and first appointments and prospecting and voicemails and emails. And then we'll be having tracks on service and delivery and operations to make sure that we are profitable on what we're doing, that we have great business analytics at our fingertips so we can make decisions as an organization that will lead us into 2021 and beyond. Guys, this is filling up very fast. This is virtual. So you guys do need to register It's the 2nd through the 4th. The link's right there. Do not hesitate. Okay. Register, book your seats. And then if you guys have any questions for me on the Chartech side, you guys email membership@chartech.net about any of the upcoming events, getting aligned with Academy, or any of the other training programs that we have specifically for MSPs and solving any of the challenges that you are facing that are preventing your business from growth or success that you want. Paul, Anthony, you guys, thank you very much for jumping on here. I don't know if you guys had any. I know we're over on time, so if we have any questions, if you're still on here, we can ask them. If not, I will do my best to get back on, and we'll answer them in our Facebook page. Get interaction. If you're not part of the Chartech MSP Facebook group, make sure you get on there, and we'll be answering questions. But Paul, any final parting words of wisdom for these guys?
No. I think I'd probably just reiterate what you've just said at the end there. Really, I mean, sales. The importance of sales to helping grow your business in the long term, and to help establish market value and your value of your business is really, really important. But learning the right way to do it is it's kind of probably pointless without learning the right way to do it. So engaging with the likes of Nick, hopefully I believe it's something that we in Bay can help with as well. Is crucial to helping you actually still be that really credible business professional, still be that person who's the trusted advisor to the people that you work with, but actually all the while increasing the commercial value of the businesses which we know you will work so hard to create and to maintain and to move forward. So yeah, I think I think right at the end is a great point that you never really stop learning, and I think that this is really part of that.
Well, guys, again, thank you very much. If you guys have the questions on there, I don't see them in front of me. I don't have the panel view, but we will get those questions answered for you guys. Follow up here again, jump on the Facebook group. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you at the next webinar at the Chartech Academy. See you guys.
Thank you, everyone.